Hello, the NFL Stock Exchange Podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. Joining you guys on a Tuesday episode of the pod, which means it's time for some stock up, stock down. We talked a lot about the NFL yesterday, week 1 in the pros, but it was week 2 of college football. Now we got a couple of games for a lot of these guys, and with every piece of game tapes that we get to figure out the puzzle a little bit better with some of these scouting reports. Connor, how are we feeling, man? How did you celebrate college football this past weekend? Were you watching Bama, Texas? Were you sitting at home for? What were you doing?
God, it feels so long ago. I had to really think about this. What did I do? I didn't do anything during the day because Alabama, Texas exceeded its hype more. So I was glued to the couch for that. It was really good. I did go out just to grab some food later at night and then watch, little Florida, Kentucky.
I never heard of it.
There was a lot. I feel the same way. I feel like I've become like a mini Florida fan for obvious reasons with Anthony Richardson and Billy Napier. Yeah, so pretty chill Saturday. Week 2 is always a little weird. You get like a couple of high-powered games. We hit a ton of weird upsets. I saw Lincoln Riley just making a mockery of the pack at this point. So yeah, it was fun. This is full transparency. This is actually my favorite show that we do. The NFL show we record on Sunday nights that you guys get first thing Monday is really cool because we waste no time. I saw some of the comments were like, "Wow, this is great!" Like you're capitalizing right away on the Sundays, and it's cool. But in the moment, you're reacting to things you saw instantly. And then Thursday is really fun because we pregame the weekend. But this is the roots of the show. This is me. I've had some hours on Monday to really go back and watch college tape, all 22 on PFF Ultimate, and find at least a player or two that we haven't brought to this show yet. So this is, full transparency, my favorite show that we do, and the one that I think separates us the most from the rest of the coverage around football.
I agree. This is something that I've really enjoyed doing, certainly ever since I became a full-time employee at PFF, getting the database they have.
It's a game changer.
This is the big difference, right? Because this is where I now get to have my hands, and you as well, we get to have our hands on tape quicker, like just sooner than we would have before. Whereas normally, before I worked at PFF, like I'm waiting until...
Well, we got batches. Remember that?
Right. I'm waiting until like January, February to get all 22 tape.
We got batches. It'd be like, hey, here's 4 games of Kentucky. Happy Monday afternoon. And we're like, sick.
And then all of a sudden, like everybody on the timeline, like we all shared something. Everybody's like, oh, like getting in on the same game.
Oh my God. And now it's the opposite. You and I have been transparent that we don't share all 22, but we bring our thoughts to the show and to our draft analysis that, it's more of a week-to-week buildup rather than these like heaping amounts of stuff we're watching all in one small dose. So it's a better process this way.
I like it this way as well. Well,
I almost said heaping load.
a Todd heaping load. Every white tight end wearing the number in the 80s is still Todd Heap, just so everybody is well aware. All right, well then let's jump right into it. For my 3 guys, we're going to do 3 stock up, 3 stock down this week. My 3 guys, I didn't do this intentionally, but it's kind of a very notable name, somebody that everybody knows. A mid-tier name that's kind of gaining some steam, and then one name that I don't think a lot of people are talking about because it was a name that I didn't even recognize. I didn't even know before I saw some PFF stats of him. I was like, whoa, I gotta take a look at this guy. I actually loved what I saw. So Connor, I'll start with you though. Who is your first guy that you want to bring to the table here on your favorite episode of NFLSE?
So I kind of did a similar process to you where I want to get away from the just talking about guys we did on the top 5s all summer. So I did one from that because we do want to watch those guys. A guy that has big projections, another guy that could be a huge riser this year, and then another guy that's really like a day 3 player but a lot of fun. So okay. I spread it out the same way. I'll start with the one that I think could be a huge riser, Penn State left tackle Olu Fashanu. I didn't watch him over the summer, and that was a mistake. He's a redshirt sophomore. I don't watch a lot of redshirt sophomores over the summer because you're starting to really play a dangerous game of you got to, right? We've explained this. You got to maximize your time over the summer. You're not watching 500 players.
Right.
Redshirt sophomores have a very low chance of declaring unless they're, a former number 1 recruit from their class and all those things. Olu, is officially the guy in the class at offensive line that could have a meteoric rise. And listen, I get it. We're a couple of weeks into college football, but he has all the traits in the world, Trevor. He's not a insanely highly rated recruit a couple of years ago. He redshirted in 2020. And this year he is their absolute left tackle. 35 pass blocking reps this weekend against Ohio. No pressures. And when you watch him, he's somebody that stops rushers in their tracks, right? Like some guys compete against rushers. They, play a little push and pull back and forth. He's somebody that the raw anchor strength of him and his hands and his base stop guys in their tracks. And he's got length. He's got athleticism. I really like his movement ability, the lateral movement, good feet. You could trust him on an island in pass pro. I think he's a work in progress in their run game right now, and they know that for such a young player, maybe playing a little bit more balanced and low. But in pass blocking, he looks like somebody that started for 10 years. And I think that just because of it, and that's against a lower level of competition, sure. Maybe he'll get exposed against tougher teams at times. But I just think NFL scouts are going to look at Fashanu and they're going to go, man, our coaches can get this guy to be a franchise left tackle. And if he does opt to declare early after having a strong year, and I really think he's going to continue this, he's become the wild card in the offensive line class for me.
Going through a couple of his clips right now, this dude is a specimen.
Yeah, he's built in a lab. He's 6'6", 321. I should have led with that. 6'6", 321. Perfect body to play tackle. It's all there. All there.
There's not any bad weight on this dude. This guy gets into his stance, and you look like you're going up against a mountain, man. This is crazy. I definitely got to watch more of this guy. Love it.
He's a really good-looking player, and the returns this year have been very promising early. I know PFF has consistently graded him very, very highly, especially in pass protection. And you just go watch a couple of reps, and kind of like you just did, where you go, oh, yeah, tackle is one of those positions that, you always do the work, right? But you can watch 8 reps of a guy and start to get an early feel, more so than almost any other position.
I think, and I don't want to I do agree with you. I don't want to insult our industry necessarily. And because,
hey, done.
right. It's not like we watch 8 plays of these guys, but there is definitely a bar to which it doesn't take you very long to know whether or not a guy can hang, right? If somebody is just not good enough, not talented enough, not big enough, not strong enough, not athletic enough to play at the pro level, especially when you watch them against better level competition, it stands out. It definitely stands out. So being able to cross guys off of a list is easier than certainly diagnosing, okay, where exactly would you put him in a big board? Who would you take first over this guy or this guy? That is stuff that you kind of get into the details of projections and how much better you believe guys can be. But there are definitely players where you can turn on the tape and be like, all right, a good college player.
And
probably about it.
I felt like this was a good week to bring him to the table because they play Auburn on Saturday. And
good.
You're going to get to see him on a lot of matchups against guys that'll go to the pros. And if he has a big week against Auburn or even a solid week, because once again, it's a redshirt sophomore, then it's going to carry over to, okay, we're going to watch him against Michigan in the middle of October. We're going to watch him against Ohio State at the end of October. And then you can blink, and this guy's in the top 50 of every mock draft.
I didn't realize they played Auburn this week.
Yeah, that one kind of slipped over me, too.
Colby Wooden and Derek Hall. Those are good. That's going to be 2 really good matchups for him. All right, now
it's awesome.
Now I'm going to be circling that one as a little prospect matchup. All right, so the first guy that I want to go to is it's more of a national guy. This is my guy at the very top, and you mentioned, trying to get away from some of the top 5 guys because we've already talked about them. But I'll be honest, I haven't talked about Jordan Addison a ton. And what a game he had this past weekend. USC versus Stanford. USC kind of on upset alert. Stanford looked really good early on in the season, right before they played USC. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, just too much, right? And we talked
Lincoln
about
Riley.
That. Brother, you don't got to tell me, man.
Bro, he's video gaming this.
There are very few college coaches that have had more success than Lincoln Riley. Like, I understand he hasn't won a national championship yet. Like, what Dabo has done, what Nick Saban has done, what Kirby has done, that has won them national championships. Lincoln Riley has not won a national championship yet. But for him to basically have what is an unstoppable offense every single week is truly incredible. What he has been able to do with quarterbacks. Now we see it at 2 different locations. I get it. He took the talented quarterback with him to USC. But still, that was my big argument for USC winning the Pac-12 is I was like, okay, I think Utah's a good football team. I think Oregon will be fine. I don't think they're a big contender, but I think they'll be fine. Stanford should be strong because they're always a strong team. They're always coached well. Who's keeping up with USC? Who can I count on to score 55 every week? Because that's what USC is going to do. And so we saw Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison put on a show this past weekend. Addison, 7 catches, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, 24.6 yards per catch. Just silly. Over the last 2 weeks, weeks 1 and 2 in college football, he's graded out with a 89.2 receiver grade for us. He's already got over 100 yards after the catch of the season, already got 4 touchdowns on the season. He's already Caleb Williams' go-to guy. He's got the most first downs on the team, almost double at 9. Just everywhere you look, he is absolutely putting on a show. When you throw on the film against Stanford, I mentioned how it's kind of easy to see players who maybe can't hang right away. Jordan Addison pops off, and you just go, this is an NFL player. The smoothness that he plays with, it reminds me of Chris Olave, right? They'll use him on the outside, they'll use him in the slot, and it's how this guy attacks deep and how quickly and smoothly it feels like he gets at the top speed. He gets a couple steps into that, and it's just, boom, it's there. It sneaks up on you. All of a sudden you think, all right, I'm even with this guy. I got this guy, and then he's blowing by. You're like, how did this happen? So that feels like Jordan Addison's play over and over again. He won the Biletnikoff Award last year for being the best wide receiver in the country for a reason, and he's not showing any signs to slow it down. I'm excited to see if he continues to keep up this monstrous pace the rest of the year, because if so, it'll be 2 incredible years for him. I think he'll probably earn himself a first-round pick ticket after that, if that's the case. You look at his measurables. He's 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. He's not going to impress you when he steps on the scale when you're looking at measurements, but he's just such a natural, understands the position well, and he's a guy who's always getting open. So those are things that you see a lot of the results there and the stats that he has and the grades that he has, and he's fantastic, dude. I don't know what else to tell you. I wasn't saying that he was going to like take a step back or anything going from Kenny Pickett to Caleb Williams. I certainly wasn't saying that, but I was wondering like, hey, is Jordan Addison going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit? No, absolutely not. He is leading that Trojans passing attack for them.
No, without a doubt. He comes from Pitt, where he ran a lot of pro concepts. He goes to USC with Lincoln, who always knows how to maximize his skill talent, and he looks great. And I think that the polish you brought up is the most important point with Jordan Addison, is he's somebody that will be drafted, and coaches can ask a lot of him right away. And, man, I just look at USC and think this is what they're doing right away on offense. Wait until that defensive staff gets their hands on some guys they were able to recruit and develop, and USC is going to be a problem on the West Coast. They're going to be a problem. But I'm glad you brought up Addison, because as much as he fits one of the guys from the top 5s, he's not somebody you or I were particularly high on, in the sense of like...
I think I had him 5th?
I was going to say, we had him on the back end of the top 5s.
Right.
I think we had him in the 20s on the mock draft. He wasn't in the top 10 of the big board. He's a stock-up guy. Like, call it what it is. He is a stock-up guy, especially when, this is the opportunity to do it. Jackson Smith and Jigba got hurt. Quentin Johnston had a slow start. Like, this is the time to show you're the best receiver in the country. Go for it.
Yep.
All right. My next one, I'll do the guy I classify as a borderline day 3 player before I go to the more high-profile one, and it's a 6th-year player, a senior. 6th year. I know, it's crazy. It is Houston, we'll call him an edge, Derek Parish. And Trevor, he had 4.5 sacks this week against Texas Tech.
4.5?
Dana Holgerson said, it's the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen. That was what Dana said about it. And,
okay, Dana.
And you watch the tape, because, the stats sometimes can be like, oh, nobody blocked him, or could just be stupid stuff. He beat the crap out of the Texas Tech left tackle.
Okay.
And he played with a lot of energy, a lot of power. He kept chopping that hand down to get the outside corner. I mean, this dude, he wears number 0, right? So it's kind of fun watching him, because it's a great number. 2020, he actually also played fullback. He played DN, linebacker, and fullback in 2020.
What a king.
He's a very interesting player because I think teams, whether he's at the Shrine or the Senior Bowl, I think teams are going to have a lot of fun with him in the draft process and actually maybe give him a look at fullback. Maybe see if he can be this fullback player that can be a situational pass rusher as well. He's 6'2", 245, so he's more of a compact build that I don't know if he's going to hang on an NFL roster as a full-time edge. But if he can be a rotational edge and also play fullback for you, he's a really cool player that is such a college talent because he plays hard, he's strong, he has pass rush moves in his arsenal, he's played for a long time, so he knows how to consistently set up tackles to win. And this was his party of I'm a great player, and I'm going to take over this game. I'm going to give one of the greatest performances defensively that this university has probably ever seen. And I think he's somebody that's going to be hanging around at the All-Star circuit as well.
19 pressures already.
Oh, dude.
My guy's all over the place.
He had 11 in this game. 11.
What?
They just couldn't block him. And when you see that in the PFF database, you're like, all right, here we go. They just didn't do anything. He just ran, kept blitzing. Yeah. And it's no, he's on the edge. He's standing up, and he's taking on the left tackle. And he's winning. He threw him on the ground on one of the sacks he had. He literally threw him on the ground. So, yeah, it's cool, man. He's just one of those day 3 guys that I think the draft Twitter community is going to kind of rally around because he's a cool player that he did play fullback, and now he's having a big season off the edge.
Nah, and fullbacks have a big, anybody who appreciates fullbacks, who should be everybody, they've got that hive to them, any good fullback content will all stand on the timeline. So anytime you have a fullback tape in your background, that can only help the public perception. So I got to get eyes on this guy. Where's number 0? Strong as hell.
Oh, he was on the freaks list too.
Oh, was he?
I can't believe I didn't say that. Trevor, you're going to love this. How did I not? I meant to lead with this, and I forgot because I got so excited talking about his week he had. Which, by the way, the 4.5 sacks per Joseph Duarte on Twitter is the AAC single game record. But besides that,
I bet it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, come on. So Feldman had him on the freaks list. 6'2", 245, power cleans 426, bench 425 for 3, ran a 4.58. Oh, that's great, right? Fun, cool, fun, whatever.
Fun, cool,
he won the team steak eating contest. Trevor, guess how many ounces of steak he ate in one sitting?
Now, okay, this is clicking in my head because
I'm sure you read it this summer.
Mike Renner on his pod, on the Talking Ball pod, had Bruce Feldman on, and he asked Feldman about what was his favorite dude. Okay. And I think he said Parish.
Okay.
It was wasn't it 100 pounds of meat?
110 ounces. Which I'm sure there's a lot of bro dudes listening to this that love steak. I love steak. I know you love steak. I went out to celebrate the start of the NFL kickoff season Friday night, and I was like, I'm going to go to the steakhouse in Hoboken that I really like. And
hell yeah.
I ate a 16-ounce ribeye, which is nice cut of meat. It's 16 ounces. I love ribeye. 16 ounces with, good amount of sides. You'll be full for a long time.
Yeah, it's true you will.
This man ate 110 ounces in one sitting.
Now, could you eat 8 of them?
Yeah. Could you eat 8?
That's...
Dude,
I consider
my heart would surrender. Let me be honest there first.
I think I can eat a lot of food. I agree with you. I'm right in that same arena. I think I can eat a lot of food. I think the most steak I've ever eaten in one sitting is 28 ounces.
I was gonna say I've hovered around the high 20s. I've never eclipsed 30 ounce steak.
That'd be pretty asinine. 30?
It's just ridiculous. And I'd be sweating for the next 72 hours.
I want people who are listening to this podcast to go on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube already, what's up? Appreciate you watching.
Stay here. Don't leave. Go after. Please don't leave. I need to keep my lights on.
Go to the comments. No. They're already watching. We already got the download. We're good.
Yeah,
good. You can scram. No, I'm just kidding. We love you. Go in the comments, and if you've I want to know how much people have eaten red meat, like a steak, in one sitting. I want to know. This is your time to brag. Have you ever gone to some weird steakhouse off the highway and they had a 50-ounce cowboy tomahawk ribeye that you ate? We want to hear about it. Tell us the story.
I've never been to Fogo, which I know is a sin to a lot of people. But I know you have, right?
Have you ever been to any? Like any Brazilian steakhouse?
No. So I know, though, a lot of the answers are going to be people that have gone there and tallied up how many ounces of meat they ate there, because you could just keep going. No, I've never done that, which is really strange, especially considering how much I traveled for work in my life. I don't know why. I just have never done it.
Fogo's good. Fogo is we're fully into steak chat right now, so hopefully people are enjoying this and get in on it with us.
My favorite food.
I'll just say that when we're at the Combine in Indianapolis, any day that we're not going to like one of the famous steakhouses that you go to, more to just like meet people and share drinks.
I still go to eat.
Right. No, but I'm saying
you're right though. It's the how do we put this? It's like the community center for the Combine.
Yeah, you're schmoozing. You're just schmoozing. If you're not there, there was one night that me and a couple of NFL Draft Twitter peeps, we went to a Fogo de Chao that they have in Indianapolis. And we do that because when you're at the Combine, you basically like don't eat the entire day. You're up at like 6 a.m.
Yeah,
there's no time to eat. We're getting all this sweet content out for you guys. You're welcome. We're starving you. We're starving ourselves to death.
Starving.
So then we go to a Brazilian steakhouse and we just absolutely, make it biblical. And I'll just say this. I'll give a shout out and we'll move on. John Ledyard. Anybody out there that knows John Ledyard?
You've told me this once.
I've never met a man in my entire life who could eat more. It is truly awe-inspiring how much John could eat. I'd love to see him.
John.
Oh, John's
a unit. For those of that have not met him.
In the right ways, he's stacked.
Oh yeah, he's not like a heavyweight guy. He's just a big guy. He's a big guy. How many ounces of steak do you think Ledyard put down? Just ballpark it. You give me like a 20-ounce range.
I'm not gonna lie to you. He probably, when we were at Fogo de Chao, he probably put somewhere in the 40s. Like
that's 40, wildly impressive.
Like 40 ounces of meat. I don't even have the words.
I'd wake up in a pool of sweat.
Yeah,
I wouldn't regret it.
Yeah, and you know what Johnny Ledyard's waking up to? The continental breakfast the next day. I don't understand it, Connor. Where does it go? It probably goes all to the arms because the dude's arms are looking like a
good play.
Looking at the rock. All right, if I give him another compliment, then he actually owes me money. So we got to move on. The NFL's opening week action was packed, but it is just getting started. Get ready for week 2 of touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. You want more action? Now everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It is simple. This Sunday, you bet on any team to win, and if your team leads by 10 at any point in the game, you get paid instantly, even if the team loses in the end. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook now. Use the promo code PFF to get that $200 free in bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's promo code PFF. Only DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See description for details. And before you bet, go download the PFF app. If you got an Apple device, download it. You can get the betting dashboard to see all of the betting tips that we've got from our Green Line Analytics device there. Industry-leading fantasy football advice. You get the latest premium football analysis, all in the palm of your hand. The app is free to download. If you got an Apple device, you search PFF or Pro Football Focus. Get it on your phone. Be a smarter football fan. All right, the next guy that I want to bring up.
I didn't know you could bet on sports.
Like me personally? I can't. I'm in Ohio.
No, you literally, that's the best part. You literally cannot. Unreal.
Hey, January 1st, though. January 1st, we're emptying the clip.
Wait, so let me ask you something.
Yes.
When you're watching, sorry, this is like a very off-the-rails pod. When we do Stock Watch, Trevor and I each do 3, so we're going to have time for fun, okay? If you don't like fun, this isn't the podcast for you.
Yeah.
When you're watching...
This is Connor's favorite pod.
This is my favorite podcast. You said it was yours, too. Let's be fair here. When you're watching TV in Ohio, you don't see any betting commercials?
Not like...
You probably don't.
Locally, no.
Yeah, no. I bet you don't. Dude,
no.
Obviously, when I'm in Jersey, and I'm also in New York a lot, all over the place in the tri-state, that's all that's on. It's all that's on. Like, you can't watch a pregame, like a Mets pregame or postgame, and I get it. The whole world is just betting commercials for everything. So I just can't. I'm trying to like take myself back to where you are now, where I could turn something on and it's not like match $500, do this now. Like,
I mean, maybe it's that. Maybe I've drowned it out. So like now, the next time that I'm watching, when I'm watching Monday Night Football, I'm gonna pay attention to it and I'm gonna see how many betting commercials that I get tonight.
Yeah, I just can't imagine a world without it anymore. All right.
Yeah, anyways, Ohio, please give me betting. I'm trying to give you my money. It's funny because there is a Hard Rock literally in the center of Cincinnati, Ohio, yet we don't have a sports book here because it's not allowed. Sick. I'm trying to bet on the thing that I think I have the most confidence with.
But you do have Skyline Chili, so call it an even trade.
We do, and I will definitely, absolutely, unequivocally call that an even trade. Okay, the next guy that I want to bring up to the table, stock up. MJ Anderson, the edge rusher from Iowa State, redshirt junior, 6'3", 275 pounds, transferred over from Minnesota. He came on my radar because he had a really high PFF pass rush grade. Okay, so I'm going through our database. I'm looking at who's kind of standing out early in the season. I'm like, wow, okay, I don't even know who this MJ Anderson guy is. I watch 5 clips of him, and I go, all right, somebody bring me the bio. I need to know more about this guy. How was he not on our radar at the beginning? Where is he from? What did his parents do for a living? What were his hobbies growing up? Like, I immediately had to know more about this guy because, dude, he is explosive. Where's number 3, which you love to see, single-digit numbers on the defensive line. Dude can get off the ball, man. I mean, he fires off the line of scrimmage like a cannon. Now, I don't really know. I couldn't find out before this podcast why he transferred from Minnesota. The playing time I felt like would have been there for him next year, but he had been there for 3 years, still didn't really get deep into the rotation. Maybe he was just kind of fed up with it there, didn't want to play for the same coaching staff that wasn't really getting him a ton of time before that. Ends up going to Iowa State, and these last couple of games, man, he's looked like an absolute game wrecker.
I'm intrigued. I don't know much about him.
His athleticism was way too much for one single offensive lineman to handle. And that's at Iowa. I mean, I know Iowa's not necessarily boasting the best offensive lineman for the NFL draft right now in this current portion of the cycle, but he was absolutely working the right tackle of Iowa this past week. Faced double teams constantly during the second half because they were sick of giving up pressures in the first half, and yet he still came up with the big sack fumble that sealed the game in the fourth quarter on that last drive. 91.1 pass rush grade this season, which is an elite grade. 8 pressures so far this year. A 31.3 pass rush win rate. This dude he has been a terror.
That's astronomical.
Now, here's a little bit of a con for him. He's still a little bit out of control. Plays on the ground a little bit too much, especially when he's in run defense, trying to hold the line of scrimmage. He gets off balance a little bit. Sometimes he'll beat a double team or get around the edge on an offensive tackle. He'll cross the face with a little inside move. And when he gets to the quarterback, when he gets in that backfield, he almost kind of like stumbles, like he's getting too ahead of his skis, if you will. So he's got to play more in control. He's not quite in control of that athleticism, which is why it's probably a decent reason why he didn't get on the field early on, why we didn't hear a lot of draft buzz about him during the summer. But from a raw ability standpoint, potential, what he brings to the table as an athlete off the edge, loved the starting point here from MJ Anderson. So wanted to give him a big shout out. Really great start to this season. Somebody that I'm going to definitely continue to monitor as the year goes on. You guys should too, because those flash plays, oh man, they're some of the best. They're some of the best that I've seen in this early college football season.
Love it. Add him to the list. Definitely somebody I'm going to watch the coach's film on. Not a guy that we talked about over the summer.
No, not at all.
We know Iowa State has rushers. It's always nice when you turn on the tape of a team and you got a couple different guys to watch on the same unit. All right, I saved my kind of one for last, but felt it was a little necessary.
Okay.
It's Alabama running back Jahmry Gibbs. And
good.
He was in our top 5s over the summer. Pretty high. I think he was top 3 for both of us. A transfer, but played at Georgia Tech. There was a lot to like about him. Admittedly, though, Trevor, I didn't expect him to be this polished of a receiving back, where it's his calling card to the point where it's going to significantly help him in this draft. I knew he could be a really good runner. I knew he can catch the ball. Alabama used him in a game where, boy, did they needed somebody to, throw him a lifeline early on. They used him as a true weapon in terms of receiving back. He had 9 targets. He caught all 9.
Mm-hmm.
He had 74
9.
receiving yards, but he had 78 after contact. So after the catch, and a touchdown. The route running's clean. The concentration is clean. I'm not going to get carried away and throw out some crazy comp anywhere yet, but it's the thing when everybody talks about these running backs, why him and Bijan are justifiably going to be top 50 picks at the running back position. Now remember, we are the bad boys of Pro Football Focus, so we are going to fight this fight. These guys don't need to come off the field. They don't need to come off the field. They are such gifted pass catchers, and Gibbs, in a week where it looked really scary for Alabama, even the one he caught in the at the end of the fourth quarter on that drive, like I don't want to say kept bailing them out, but boy,
well, kind of did.
There was a couple times where I was like, Gibbs is a difference maker on this field for them, and it's not as a runner, it's as a pass catcher.
Yeah, I mean, that receiving group with Alabama was a question mark going into the season, and boy, did it look glaring this past weekend. I mean, kudos to Texas. Big kudos to Texas. They were getting after the pocket. They were really making life difficult for Bryce Young back there. And so I definitely want to tip my cap to them. It's not, I don't want this to all just be like, what was wrong with Bama? Texas definitely stepped up and played their game really, really well. But there is a lack of solidified star power in that receiver room right now. It just does not look like Bryce Young is trusting people the same way that he has in the past. And so leaned on Jahmry Gibbs, good reason for it. Wish Texas would have leaned on Bijan Robinson a little bit more, honestly, because he was fantastic as well. But
I loved how Sark opened the game, making him like the ultra decoy. Mm-hmm. But then it's like he forgot he had him a little bit, right?
That's
it was
your
like
best player, man.
Sark was just going God mode on the script in the beginning of the game, where I'm like, Alabama doesn't know what hit him right now, and it's not because of Bijan. It's what Bijan is doing in terms of forcing attention. And then they didn't lean on him enough. And Trevor, I'll ask you this. We don't really do a lot of college football analysis on the show, more draft focus. Mm-hmm. Do you think Texas wins that game if Ewers doesn't get hurt? Because I do. And I don't think Card wasn't like an anchor.
Here's my big issue with that, because if you give me what Ewers was before he got hurt, I think it's very tempting to say yes. The problem is that Ewers didn't look all that great the year or the game before. Like he had some unraveling throws, and he was definitely on a roll before he got hurt. He was
slanging that thing, dude,
with what he was throwing. But the week before, there was a lot of hot and cold with him. So I've got to believe that when you got into those lull moments of the game, because that was still early too, right? You're riding high off the momentum. This is at home. This is in Austin. So I think it's tempting to say yes. And if you tell me that Ewers plays the way he did in the first quarter throughout the game, I do think the answer is yes. I don't think that's as much of a guarantee as some people are making the argument for. So that's my big workaround, fancy way of bailing around this question.
No, it's a good answer.
But that's kind of my context with it. He was playing well, though. It was a lot of fun when he was out there. It really sucked that he got hurt, because there ain't many quarterbacks that are that fearless against Alabama, man. There really isn't.
I mean, he looked at their corners and said, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I bet.
Xavier Worthy's open every play. Here comes the ball.
All right, last guy that I want to bring up. Had somebody tweet this name at us, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. Really glad he did. Jacoby Windmon, the edge rusher from Michigan State. Senior edge rusher, transferred from UNLV, 6'2", 250 pounds. Again, single-digit number as an outside linebacker. You love to see it. Reigning, defending, undisputed two-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts over the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
This is a good football player, man.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if this guy's ever going to have a first-round ceiling just because he is a smaller of an edge rusher, but this is a guy that you would love to have on your football team. He plays with a relentless motor. And I saw him, first couple of reps that I watched of him, I watched all his pass rush reps. And I was like, all right, I like what I see here, man. Really knows how to get up the arc with a lot of speed, and knows how to attack the outside shoulder, knows a variety of different moves when it comes to attacking the half man, if you will, attacking that outside shoulder and getting around, whether it's some form of dip, some form of rip move. He even had a little stab and almost like a jump where he was just going straight around the offensive lineman.
He loves that.
it was just, there were so many different ways that it felt like he could win to the outside. Now he's a little smaller of a defensive lineman. So, well, edge rusher, I should say. He's an outside linebacker. A little smaller of an outside linebacker, so you'd expect that, but it was great to see that. A little bit of an issue that I had with him is once he got into the backfield, like MJ Anderson, he almost didn't know what to do. It's almost like he was getting there too fast. He missed a couple of sacks that he could have had wrapped up. But what really rounded out how impressed I was with him is that this guy is absolutely fearless. He will crash on stunts and throw his entire body at an offensive guard, knowing damn well he is outweighed by like 70 pounds. There's a play where he absolutely blasted the Western Michigan left guard with so much force that he completely decleated the guy and he went flying and he went straight into the center and he ended up falling down. There are times when Western Michigan and Akron would run split zone where they've got a tight end coming behind the line of scrimmage, and Windmon would just crash and put his shoulder straight into that player. If guys were pulling to his side, he was fearless about the assignment that he needed to take on so that the linebackers behind him could be free to make the tackle. There was so much, I think, to like about his game. Now you see the reservations in his size, but I'm telling you, it feels like this guy makes up for it as best as you possibly can. So this is a player that I really enjoyed the film over the last couple of games that I watched of him. Again, another elite pass grade, 90.3 pass rush grade, 12 pressures, and another high pass rush win percentage of 26.4, which you love to see. So Jacoby Windmon, man, really fun football player. Love the motor. I think that NFL teams are going to love this guy, and we're going to start to hear a lot more about him.
I think so too. I didn't watch his film from this week, but I watched and posted a clip from his film week 1 where he had 4 sacks. I mean, they didn't have an answer for him. That ghost rush where he throws out that fake long arm, tucks it and dips and can turn the corner. It's a gnarly move that just not a lot of guys can do because they don't have the quick twitch athleticism and corner turn to do it. And he's almost mastered it. And you're right. Coming from UNLV, it felt like this guy's kind of an outside linebacker. And now Michigan State's like, hey, pin your ears back and go. We trust you as a rusher. And it's been incredible. And he's such an interesting player. He's a New Orleans guy, New Orleans kid that in high school he played quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, H-back, and D-line. So, when he was... Yeah, he's a serious athlete. Went to obviously under recruited for whatever reason coming out of New Orleans. Feels like this kid could have been
small.
Could have been at LSU, but yeah, it might be because he was small. He goes to UNLV, turns into a dominant player in the Mountain West, and then he transfers to Michigan State. Now he's a dominant player in the Big Ten. That's what he is. So I'm really glad you got him on the show because I tweeted about him last week and I kind of forgot to even think of him because we get to players after we do this show, and I didn't even realize he had another dominant week 2. I mean, at this point, you're looking at a dude that's like just chasing for 15 sacks this year in his sleep.
Yeah, he had 11 and a half tackles for loss last year, 6.5 sacks, already has 5.5 sacks in just 2 games this season. As a recruit, I'm looking at his recruiting profile now. He was listed as 6'1", and then 210, 215 are the couple of different places that I see. So if Michigan State's got it right and he's up to 250, that's 40 extra pounds of beef now being as an off-ball edge player. So he was an on-ball inside linebacker as a recruit. So it seems like he's had a little bit of a transition to being more of an edge rusher and a pass rusher. So was super impressed with him. Had to get him in the show. Thank you for the shout out, whoever sent it to us. Appreciate you. And our scouting reports will reflect it. Our newest partner is revolutionizing, that's the word, the world of sports betting and fan engagement by making sports fandom profitable. That company is Symbol, the stock market for sports. Symbol was a PFF sponsor last year. They're back for this football season. Symbol lets you trade pro and college teams like stocks and even earn cash dividend payouts when your teams win. Symbol took the thrill of sports betting and combined it with the profitability of the stock market to give you a platform where fortune favors the fan. Download the Symbol mobile app for iOS by searching SIMBULL in the App Store and use the promo code NFLSE to help out the podcast and receive a free team stock valued up to $150 when you sign up. PFF team is even getting in on the Symbol market themselves this season. Connor, have you bought anything else since last night? Have you had any calling? I haven't yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting it out. I told you guys I got a little bit of house money. I won some money from Symbol last week, so we're just going to reinvest that into a different team, buying a couple more stocks before Thursday's episode. But you're doing good, though, right?
The Mets and Chiefs are going to make me rich. It's obvious. I just have spent so much, and then when hockey starts, the Rangers will make me rich, and I'll do this podcast because I love it, but it won't have to pay the bills anymore. If you need to take a break and jump around on YouTube, you can. My lights won't go off. So thank you, Symbol, for changing my life and fortune.
What an endorsement. Download the app, create a free account, enter the promo code NFLSC to get a free stock valued up to $150 and compete against the NFL Stock Exchange.
You see me in Gucci on Thursday night show? Thanks, Symbol. There's just like a Ferrari parked behind me. I don't know how it fits in here.
I don't know how that would fit in there either. I'm just going to wear a full suit to the Thursday live pod and be like, yeah, I just came for my big
rent a tux.
Investor
you go to
meeting.
Men's Warehouse, rent a tux. Symbol changed my life. I now wear a tuxedo on my podcast. Thank you. No, really, if the Chiefs and Mets keep winning, I mean, there's nothing to worry about anymore.
That's true. Look, your entire New Jersey apartment's going to be paid for just from Symbol.
Done. And I don't even own it.
Well, no, you will own it after this. You'll own the building.
I'll call my landlord and be like, hey, I got news for you. Stocks up. I own the entire building now.
You don't even explain it to him. You just say stocks up, and then
stocks up. Stocks up. Send them a Chiefs and Mets logo, like a cheap pick stitch is what they used to call it.
Yes.
Oh, incredible. If that doesn't motivate people to get on and play, I don't know what else we could do.
I agree. You're great. You're a great spokesperson. Any stock down? I know we're not emphasizing stock down too much in the early parts of the season because we got a lot of football left. But we have to, as much as it pains me, we have to bring up Anthony Richardson, who went from the comments telling us that Anthony Richardson should have been in the top 5 of our mock draft last Monday to
you guys are idiots.
A day 3 player. He's in a complete project. He's absolutely ass. We are just on the Anthony Richardson roller coaster this year, my guy.
We are. I thought this game was the roller coaster because I've had people. This is what happens when you cover the draft. This is what happens when you cover sports. I think I had Will Levis. Like, he definitely was in the top 50. And a lot of people were really upset that he wasn't a top 30 player. And Levis has been fine. And Richardson was awesome week 1 and not good in week 2. I just think this is the full experience with those 2 young quarterbacks that are, it's an overused word in the scouting community, but they're raw. Their decision-making isn't always great. Their play speed is a tick slow sometimes. When their legs can't get them out of trouble all the time, it becomes hard for them. Like, when you watch Bryce Young, mentally, he just seems to be in a different place than Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. And he's played a lot more, and he's just a more polished prospect. And AR and Levis have all the tools in the world to go in the first round. If you ask me today, I still think they both will go in the first round if they decide to declare. But this game was a really good wide lens capture of, like, these guys are the fringe round 1 guys right now because they're going to have a lot of weeks like this, whether people like to hear that or not.
Yeah, it's obviously I love draft media, right? Like you said, we're in this because we love it. It's a lot of fun. We love that you guys are in it with us, but we do get carried away. You know, there are people will say we will go from, hey, Anthony Richardson, I kind of like him a little bit, to Anthony Richardson number 1 overall, of course, like really quickly. And that's something that I try to avoid doing on this podcast. We do a lot of talking about the draft, and so, you know, it's inevitable that we start hyping guys up, but you know, even I think that we said on the mock draft episode, hey, we had Anthony Richardson going in the 20s, and we were saying, hey, there's still a lot of football that needs to be played before this is even solidified. But we love what we saw first game of the season. It was a lot of fun against Utah. But, you know, he struggles against Kentucky, and I think that this is how it was always going to be, right? He's barely even started in college football, and we were already anointing this guy as a Heisman, as a top 10 overall pick. He hadn't even proved it yet. He had one game does not prove such a merit. And so, yeah, it was just this. It's not like Anthony Richardson is way worse of a football player this week than he was a week ago. These were always going to be the ups and downs that he went through. He's a young quarterback. He's starting for the first time. And I like to say this a lot with scouting too. We love to look at guys with big arms, right? Because the big arms are what you seek in the NFL. It is a natural, physical, God-given ability that if you have it, the stronger the arm you have, the more of an advantage you have to fit the ball into tight windows, to get it deep down the sideline, 30 yards down the field on a rope, to hit a bomb 60 yards down the field, right? All of those things, you get the better arm strength you have. So when we find these guys that have incredible arms, we love to gravitate towards them. But here's the thing. The stronger the arm, the more dangerous it is, the more volatile it is. Not only can it do good things, it can also swing that needle way the other direction because of how strong the arm is. So like that is where we are with Richardson. This is a guy who has unbelievable physical talent. And when it's good, God damn, does it look good.
Yep.
But when it's bad, it looks atrocious. Really bad. And it looks like turnover-worthy plays. And it looks like, how in the world is this guy throwing this? It's all part of the learning curve. When you have a big arm, these, I guess I'll just say, lessons, lack of snaps, inexperience, it looks even more glaring. So I think we obviously, Richardson's a stock down because he was, I feel like the stock couldn't have been higher last week. And so we've got to temper the expectations there a little bit. But this quarterback class still very talented. These guys still have it all in front of them. But I did want to mention that before we got out of here, that we do have to temper the expectations a little bit with these guys.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that it's just how it goes in the quarterback race because, you know, the reality is a lot of teams watch their NFL team on Sunday and some fans are already thinking, man, like, I hope next year we can get a guy because I don't want to watch another year of this.
Right.
And then everybody starts to shift that lens before you know it to Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and Will Levis and Anthony Richardson and Tanner McKee, who you know, had an up and down game as well, and Tyler Van Dyke. And it's the way it goes in the business, and you and I will, you know, not make any definitive comments on the quarterback class this early and things, but we will absolutely monitor it and call it how we see it.
Hey, everybody who's already looking forward to the next crop of guys, that's why you're here. That's why you're listening to the podcast. That's why we love you. So, in the spirit of that,
New York Jets fans,
when Anthony Richardson goes off for 400 total yards against USF this weekend, guess where we're going to be? Right back in the saddle, baby. Top 5 pick. He's on his way. Get hyped about it.
Here's your guy, Falcons. Here's your guy, Lions. You know, on and on and on we go. I mean, it's how it goes. It's why we get to do this.
I know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of fun to follow throughout the season. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it too. I say again in the comments, would love to hear from you guys. You know, Connor and I, we watch as much tape and we follow as much college football as we possibly can during the season, but we're also covering the NFL. And we know that you guys out there, you follow your college football teams religiously. Obviously, you have some interest in the draft if you're listening to this podcast. Let us know who we got to talk about. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us, hey, this guy from this team, man, he's really flashing. He's really putting on the show. I really think that he could really earn some good stock and some good scouting reports if he continues to have a really good year. We would love to hear from you guys at any time, players that you want to see us talk about, players that we need to get eyes on, because this podcast will get better the more of a scouting full community that we are. And that's what we definitely want this to be. Next time you guys hear our voice, it will be live on the Thursday show. We'll be coming to you at 7. We're going live at 7 on Eastern, right? YouTube, 7 Eastern, PFF's YouTube. We'll help you get ready for Thursday Night Football. Lord have mercy, is it an incredible one this week. We got Chiefs Chargers. So I know the chat's going to be buzzing. I know you guys are going to be excited for it. Come hang out with us a little bit before and we'll have some fun. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. We'll see you guys on Thursday. This has been the NFL Stock Exchange Podcast.